Round one, fight.
And that's the bottom line.
And his kick is good.
I need a weapon.
You cannot escape.
You forget 1,000 things every day. How about you make sure this is one of them?
Here we go.
It's time for the main event.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Single Player Experience, the premier podcast for solo gamers and just gamers in general to find out about games to play, hear about the games that people in games are playing, and also, just hear about some really cool vibes that you should be having in the world of video games. As always, I'm your host, Sebastion Mauldin, and I've been a lifelong gamer. I've been playing games since the days of the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy era, and now I'm deep into the world of the Steam Deck, the Xbox Series X and X, and the PS5. But enough about all that, because today's guest is an absolute rock star, a very special guest. This man is a brother from another mother. He is a man who has blended the courage of Indiana Jones with the precision of a Halo Spartan, basically. He is one of the biggest Star Trek fans I know. He is a master tactician in Destiny, which is a chaotic universe, and he navigates it with ease. This guy is a gamer who just built his own gaming rig, like a true PC warrior that he is. Ladies and gentlemen, he's patient enough to where he is dealing with all my technical difficulties tonight. He is a master, the man himself. He is the tactician, the Trekkie, the guardian. This is Alec Taub. Alec, how you doing today?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm fine. Sorry for all the technical difficulties tonight, man. It's a struggle. I don't know why. I don't know why it's a struggle tonight.
As one of my friends always says, and probably says too much, he goes, that's just showbiz, baby.
Yeah, he's not lying. So, Alec, I want to start off with you. We've been messaging back and forth for months now, and you've been giving me an inside scoop on your journey and your emotional journey with Destiny 2. And you've been going through the ups, the downs. You were hyped a little bit for the new expansion, the new content that was released and all that. And then you sort of it got here and there was a lot of discourse about it, and that sort of tempered things a little bit. And yeah, and then you've sort of been on a rocky road with not only Destiny but Bungie and your excitement with Marathon and everything in between. Like, Alec, what's going on, man?
It's so complicated. It's I will say I would say that we're nearing the end, but I don't want to call it the end only because, as Bungie has done many a time with Destiny 2, which is pull it back to a place where it's impeccable. I think the conversation that I've always had with my friends, because we talk to people and they go, "So what do you play?" And we're like, "We play Destiny," and they're like, "Why do you play that shit game?" And it's like the reaction is always the same, and our response is always the same. We go, "Yeah, it is shit, but we love it." And we know it's shit because we know what it can be. Like Destiny at its peak, at least for me, has been the greatest gaming experiences I've ever had. I mean, I think back to Into the Light last year, which was that was March of last year through the beginning of June. I was talking to my friends about this recently, maybe the greatest video game experience I've ever had. Like, I've never had more excitement to log in every day. I put in more hours than I've ever put into any game during that time. It was like almost being born again as a Destiny fan, and it was exciting because it was like, man, if this is what Destiny can be, wait till the new expansion. It was sort of like the height. It was sort of the peak of Guardian existence, and now we are maybe at the lowest point of being a Destiny player that there has been maybe ever. I know Curse of Osiris was truly sort of the lowest point because they were literally a month or two from shutting down the entire game. I mean, especially with the news today that Sony is basically consuming them whole, it was like, that makes sense. So
Yeah. How does that make you feel, with the overseer basically coming down and saying, like, hey, we're taking the reins completely?
In a weird way, optimistic, because it's like, okay, so I want to preface so that people understand the context of the statement. So when I started playing during Witch Queen, which was one of the rarer high points for Destiny. It was seen as a very successful expansion. It brought a lot of new stuff to the game that people were very excited about. There was a lot of good. And so when I started playing, I started on a high, and I started during Season of the Haunted, and I played all the way through Season of the Haunted and was really enjoying it. And then this was like basically the first expansion that had come out post Sony buyout or post Sony acquisition. So there was a lot of optimism in the community about, okay, all this cash influx for Bungie is going to be great because it's going to let Bungie do the things that they have to do. And the game was very, very, very different from where it is now, especially after this latest expansion. And Bungie has had so many missteps now over the last couple years that are very well documented. And the game is so far removed from the experience that I started that I'm slightly hopeful that Sony stepping in will kind of revert it back to what they purchased, or will want something similar to be like, hey, when we gave you all this money, this is how the game was looking and playing and functioning. Go back to that because that worked. Whereas this latest release is sort of the biggest talking point being, this is like Destiny 3, but it's just rebranded as Destiny 2. And it was like,
Wow.
if you could have just done this as a Destiny 3, you probably would have saved yourself a lot of the criticism that you're getting. But because you literally overhauled Destiny 2 to be this weird, like Frankenstein monster of an experience that veterans of the series are like, what on earth even is this thing anymore? That it's bad. At least it's bad from the perspective of, we all wanted a Destiny 3. We all wanted to do something new and different. The concepts themselves are good. It's the execution is just really, really poor.
So let me ask you, like, you're playing Destiny, you're thinking to yourself, like, I'm glad I'm getting a new experience, a new like chapter in Destiny, for better or for worse, even though it's a weird amalgamation of like what you would imagine a sequel third game would be versus what you know and love in Destiny 2. Like,
Yes.
where's your head at with the series? Like, because I know you're a huge fan, you love this is like probably number one with a bullet favorite game of all time, at least a very high up there.
So I'm closing in on 6,000 total hours, and it has only been a little over 3 years, which it's like I haven't been on this train nearly as long as everybody else, but like I've put in my time. Yeah,
Where are you at currently? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like it's
Not
time
good.
for you to? Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, do you feel like it's time for you to move on? Do you feel like you're in it to win it? What's going on?
So I'm probably in it until they shut the servers down, because at the end of the day, there's always, like I always tell my friends, there's always the itch. There's always this, okay, well, I'd like to go and do this. And to give Bungie their credit, PvP, so Crucible, is probably in the best state that it's been since Into the Light, which Into the Light was like, they did everything that a Crucible player could ever want. And then they sort of, with the expansion, the Final Shape that came out, it sort of irrevocably destroyed the sandbox. So, okay.
It sounds like they went like a major 3 stories full.
I'm like, I want to break it down. So, like, essentially, Into the Light was an extension period for Bungie to release the Final Shape. So the usual cadence is they release a expansion in like February, you get like 4 seasons in between that, new expansion. And that's supposed to be the cadence. And when Bungie released, not the Final Shape, it was Lightfall, it fell flat on its face. It was not universally well reviewed and caused a lot of issues. I think it underperformed by 56% of total sales of projected.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah. It was a big loss. So it was like, how do you come back from that? And so with the Final Shape, they were reworking the game and preparing the new expansion, and then realized that it was going to be a similar situation. So what they did is they extended the release out by like 4 months. They said, all right, it's not going to come out in February, it's going to come out in June. And in the meantime, we're going to do this thing called Into the Light. and Into the Light is going to be a lot of sandbox changes. So a lot of sandbox tuning. It's going to be a lot of ability changes and ability tuning. We're going to add in this new mode called Onslaught. We're going to fix Crucible. We're going to do all these things in the meantime. So come see this shiny thing while we do this. And they added a dungeon event, or not a dungeon, it was a raid event in there called Pantheon that was supposed to be this big thing where you could earn unique emblems, and everything that they did just worked. Like Onslaught was a
Okay.
game mode that people were really excited for. They reintroduced some old exotic missions, and the sandbox tuning was sensational, right?
Mhm.
Hard content felt like hard content. It was rewarding to do. When you completed stuff in game, it felt good. You got good loot in return. It was it was like sort of the moment where I was like, this is probably the best Destiny could be. And I was hoping that they would build off of that. Then with the final shape, they released a pretty good campaign and a very good raid, but they released a new subclass that was so much better than everything else in the game and so much more competent at everything in the game that it destroyed all of the tuning that they had done. Because
No.
what Prismatic was Pandora's box. Prismatic was this idea of, what if we combined all of the subclasses into one subclass? And what ends up happening is it's a lot better at spamming abilities. It is really good at chaining abilities. The abilities are a lot stronger because it's all chained together. It just this idea of, oh, we have 5 subclasses and this new subclass became, we have one subclass and 5 others that just happen to be there. And it was like, if you're not running Prismatic, you were throwing.
It basically sounded like they created the Captain Planet of Destiny, you know, like with all the elements.
Yes. It very much, it's like putting Superman up against like 5 randos. It was like, this just doesn't work. This is so clearly so much stronger than everything else. Why are we even doing this? To the point where I was slow to adopt the meta because I didn't find it all that engaging. For Titan, it's well documented that and it still is to a degree, the strongest subclass being Prismatic Titan, and it being this ability called Consecration Slam, where you slide to send out the shock wave of flame, and then you jump up in the air and slam down to cause everything to ignite and explode. And the problem is you could pair it with a class item. So they added this thing called exotic class items, where it combined other exotics into a single exotic. And there was an exotic called Syntheseps, which increases your melee damage by 33%. And then
You're OP at that point.
And then they paired it up with another ability or another exotic called Heart of Inmost Light, where the more you use your abilities, the stronger your abilities get and the faster they cool down. And then they paired it with another thing called Knockout, which increases your melee damage, I think, by like another 30%. And what ends up happening is you would get into this flow of, I consecrate, everything dies. I consecrate, everything dies. And like, we were clearing, so the hardest content in the game is like Grandmaster Nightfalls. We were clearing them in like 9 minutes, 8 minutes. Like when I first started, it was a 30-minute activity. Like, this is a commitment. And now we're just farming them and giggling. Like, the other example is I streamed it. We did a contest mode dungeon. Contest mode is supposed to be the hardest, most unique thing that you can do in the entire game. Here we are doing this dungeon in the final boss room while my 2 teammates are trying to figure out the mechanics. I'm just running around one-punching everything, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, ha, punch, ha, punch. It trivialized the game, and it made Crucible unplayable because obviously the meta then became, I'm just going to chuck a bunch of abilities at you and the guns don't mean anything. And as we entered sort of the last part of the expansion, we get all this information about essentially this new expansion that has just arrived in the Edge of Fate, where, oh, we're going to rebalance everything and we're going to change everything, and this is how these new systems work. And it was like, okay, this is sort of a breath of fresh air. And then we get into it, and it's still the same stuff, except a million worse.
No. So you're going to be into the server start off because you're going to see this through. But you talked about like there's a journey happening now to where like you feel like you're still playing Destiny, but then you have this pull to want to find your next big adventure,
Yes.
your next big game.
Yeah.
What's that journey been like for you? Well, like over the last couple of months?
It's been difficult. Less so today, thanks to Battlefield 6, but it's been hard to find games that truly satisfied. I will say Helldivers does a very good job of being sort of that. Not, I don't want to say being a time sink because that's not very reflective of how you want that to be, but it's engaging. Helldivers is engaging enough to where I'm like, you know what, if I have sort of that 2 or 3 hours to play, if I do a full Helldivers operation, it'll take, maybe an hour, so I can maybe get 2 in, and then it's fun to sort of upgrade things and always to have something to push for. And then Helldivers in itself is at least unique enough to where like your contributions kind of matter, right? If you do the major order, it has implications on the next major order and the story. And it can be played with friends, which is the other nice part. So Helldivers has done a really good job of that. Obviously, as I said earlier, Battlefield 6, the beta has started today, and the PvP is sensational. I'm really hoping that can sort of take over that niche. But yeah, I'm hoping the two of them should be able to tandem it. Whereas, yeah, I've at least ventured off enough now, especially with the 2 PC setups, ping-ponging between them to see all the various, benchmarking and to see the performance differences. But, Indiana Jones did it for a bit and then swapped over to, like, I've done a little bit of Doom here and there. And then usually, like, I've tried to play Cyberpunk, but Cyberpunk has been more of a benchmark than a game I've actually played.
So let me ask you though. So you tried Cyberpunk, didn't quite click with you,
Yeah.
didn't quite vibe with that. But you liked Helldivers, and it sort of is scratching that itch, but there's still that longing there. With
Yes.
Battlefield 6, what about it is capturing your attention? What do you hope kind of like it brings to the table that you think will keep you there long term, or at least like have a bigger pull than probably Helldivers at this point? Like what, because like there's a pie in your life, and like I would say 56% of gaming time is associated probably to that Destiny pie. What's filling in that?
It's probably 95% if we're being
It's probably
real.
95.
It's to the point where it has been a running joke with my friends. They're like, because I will bitch like it's nobody's business about how much I'm frustrated with things. But then they're like, but you're still in there. And I'm like, yes. So yes, that is a factor. Destiny, because it is 2 games in one, I think that's what has made it so difficult. So there's the PvE aspect, and I want to clarify for the record, because it is often misconstrued that I only play PvP and you're only a Crucible main. No. People forget I did before they got rid of them. I had done almost 500 GMs. I had solo GMs. I have solo dungeons. I have solo flawless dungeons. I have multiple raid titles. I have done all the PvE. Okay, I want to clear.
There is to do.
Yeah, I want the record to state, because like everybody, oh, that guy, he's only the PvPer, and I'm like, hold up, I have 400 raid completions. I don't want to hear it. And so yes, like because it's 2 things, being PvE and PvP. Usually, the way Destiny has worked for me is if PvE isn't appealing, PvP becomes really appealing, and so then I'll put a bunch of matches and hours into PvP. And if PvP is not appealing, then it usually just becomes PvE. And then I put a bunch of hours into PvE activities and doing those kinds of things. Since the final shape came out, it has really shifted to just being more of a PvP experience than a PvE experience. Just because the PvE experience, as I said, became so trivialized that I was like, there was no sense of reward. It was like I waited many years for Palindrome to enter the game. It was a gun I was extremely interested in having. I missed out on it when it first, or I guess the first 2 times it came around because I wasn't playing. So I had waited many years for it. And when it came out, like I played, I think it was 119 Grandmaster Nightfalls in order to get my perfect roll of Palindrome. And, to the point where like I would go in and solo GMs. There was one specific GM where it was like, if you had a team, you could probably do it in 8.5 minutes, but like solo, like I could do it in 11.5. And I'm like, okay,
That's
I would tell, so I'd tell my friends, I was like, hey, look, if you guys want to grind, hit me up. If you don't, I'll do it by myself. I don't care. Like, I'm just going to make this happen.
You're Thanosing in it. Basically, I'll just do this myself.
But like that was the problem. It was like, when I first started playing, as I said, it was a 30-minute activity. Your build had to be right. Your weapons had to be right. You really had to think about how you were going to approach things. You had to strategize rooms. If you had, I remember there was one weekend we farmed Scarlet Keep. When we did it, when we attempted to do it, I think our success rate was like 66%. Like it was not a guarantee that you were going to get in there and do it and complete it. It was more likely than not, but compared to like now or like how it was where, when we're doing, Insight Terminus in 9.5 minutes and it's a 95 or 98% completion rate, it's like, what are we even doing? And PvE just fell off so hard that it really just became a PvP experience. And as you're well aware, Bungie does PvP very well.
Yeah, for sure.
The Halo games obviously being the iconic experiences that they are. Destiny 2 is seen as like the millennial retirement home of arena shooters. Like, it's very similar physics and movement, and it's really good gun feel, and it's all PV3 and 6v6, and you get some space magic in there. And so that had become sort of the goal of, okay, I'm going to play I made it internal goals. Okay, I want my KD to go to this point. I want to go flawless and go to the lighthouse this many times in Trials of Osiris, and I want to reach this rank in comp, and I want to clock 1,000 matches a season. I had enough to where, like, if I had my own, especially, with websites like Destiny Tracker, if I could set my own goals via stats, being the nerd that I am, I'm like, man, I love numbers. So if I can see the numbers reflect that and make brain happy. So I was like, let's do it, Whereas Battlefield is now, it's like Helldivers covers the PvE because it has its own challenges and offers its own experience, whereas Battlefield is like the thing that will cover PvP.
So let me ask you, like, there's a couple of games that are upcoming, and I'm just gonna stick mostly with the shooter side because I know you're big into first-person shooters. I'm gonna say a game, and you're gonna tell me if it kind of appeals to you, whether or not you want to try it, or whether or not you'd be down for a campaign or a solo or a duos campaign. Like, do you feel like any of these games could take over that 5% of the Venn diagram that's left after Destiny 2's remaining? So you said numbers make your brain go happy.
Yes.
The upcoming Borderlands, does that do anything for you?
No. So the only reason that Borderlands doesn't is it's a very stylistic style of humor that has just not resonated with me. Borderlands 2 did for a long time. Like, I loved Claptrap, and I loved the stories of, God, what was it? Butt Stallion and things like that. Like, when I first played it, it was funny. Now, not so much.
And I hear the humor. I hear they've revamped the humor in this upcoming one to where, like, they've got a whole different writing team and everything like that. That's more diverse and more modern, I guess you could say. I don't know if that's for good or for bad, but I know, like, that could go either way. But yeah. I'm like, with Dragon Age, not a lot of people didn't like the new writers at all. But so I'm like, it can go either way there. But if you hear that game's like getting a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, would that make you more enticed to get back into the wastelands there?
Yeah, I'm definitely, like, I think at this point, I'm like, if the game reviews well, I'm willing to give it a go. Because at this point, not like I joined a new Destiny clan. This was like what, 3 or 4 months ago, and they wanted they think more highly of me than I do, but they wanted to make me part of leadership and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't want to commit to that just because I don't know how much I want to keep playing yet. Because it's one of those things where, like, Bungie today, they did their Thursday release called the TWID, which is This Week in Destiny, and they released a bunch of information about, this is our goals for these upcoming updates. And in the patch notes, they talked about how they want to change things. And some of those changes, I was like, if they changed that and it wasn't awful, I would play that. Like, I'd come back and try that and do that. particularly one of them right now is the whole reward system is not linked to skill. It is linked to what is your level, and it feels bad, right? Because you'll do like an insanely hard piece of content for your level, and then you get rewarded because they've changed it to a tier system. You'll get like a tier 1 item, and you're like, but I just did something that's 40 levels higher than I am. In my case, I did one that was 50 levels higher than I am. And it was like, yeah, here's your tier 1. And I'm like,
That
so
didn't.
yeah, I'm like, so if they fix things like that, it would bring me back. So that's where I'm like, I don't want to fully say I'm out, but if
I get you. I get you. You're not out on Destiny. I'm just trying to see what can take that 5%. You know, like what would take that 5%? Maybe even be like a weekend game to where like, oh, I'd try that out for a weekend. For instance, Gears of War, Reloaded. I think it's coming out in a couple of weeks. Or are you a Gears person? Would you willing to do that campaign?
I definitely play through the campaigns. I have seen, so I was slightly tempted by the multiplayer, and then I've seen the clips of people ping ponging between walls with the wall cover stuff, and I'm like, absolutely not. but the campaign, absolutely, because I remember I played through Gears 1 and 2, and then I bought Gears 3 from GameStop, and it was a faulty disc, and then like I made it through like the first like hour or two, and then I didn't realize it was a disc issue. I thought it was my Xbox issue, and then I was out of the period for return and blah blah blah.
No.
but yeah, but like as a kid, I played through most of them. I would definitely go back and replay those.
So there's a new one coming out, a new remaster, or I guess you could say they put Gears of War, the first one, in Unreal Engine 5.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
okay.
And it's called Gears of War Reloaded, and it's coming out on the 26th of this month in August. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Probably, yeah.
Because I'm already signed up for it. I'm like, I'm gonna check that out. You know, like I've played that campaign probably at least twice, but if for some reason I'm like, you know what, I can go for that. I don't know, like you said, with the multiplayer aspect, but if I was to do co-op campaign, I think I could do that. Or just go through the campaign. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, my thing too is like if my friends are interested, I would definitely try it. So like for instance, we as I'm sure you have seen as well, all of the memes of Peak. So we have attempted to climb on a couple of occasions now because if everybody's interested, we're willing to give it a go because it's good fun.
That's cool. So we got Gears of War. You're willing to try Borderlands if it gets good reviews and you hear good things about the writing. What was the upcoming game? There was another upcoming, I think, shooter that I was thinking of. But in the meanwhile, have you thought about Splitgate at all? Like that new shooter that came out? I haven't heard very much about it.
Splitgate. So I was initially excited to try Splitgate, but man, it just seems like a dumpster fire over there with all of the PR and everything that I'm like, that's one I won't lie. I am interested. I'm always interested in any millennial shooter, as I think that is now being defined. Anything that plays like a shooter from like the 2000s, I'm very curious. So like, for instance, as much as I might not necessarily have faith in Halo Studios, I'm very, very interested and curious to see what Halo Studios makes. So anything that fits
I'd be excited about that.
Right? It's like anything that fits sort of that millennial arena shooter, I'm like, count me in. I will try that. I'll probably love it.
So there's a indie, do you like boomer shooters? Sort of like those, I guess you could say Gears of War or the, yeah. So there's one that I'm looking forward to, and I wanted to get your take on it. Have you heard of Mouse, PI for Hire?
No, I don't
It's
think
a
I've heard
weird
of that
one. Okay, so it's coming up. It's coming up later this year. It's a weird game. It is very much like that steampunky Mickey art style. If you know, like that steamboat. Yeah, that steamboat Mickey art style. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to playing that game. Like, hard looking forward to playing it.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't know why.
I remember coming across some footage of it in my YouTube shorts and being like, that is super unique. So yes, if that game came out and had good multiplayer, I would absolutely play it.
Would you play it if it had a single player campaign?
Yeah, I'd be willing to give it a go. Yeah, I think I'm reaching the point if the reviews are good, I'm willing to give it a go. So like for example, Black Myth Wukong.
How's that going? You told me you bought it.
So I like it.
No.
It's fun, but my God, is it stressful. So like I have to be in the right mood to play it, because if I get off work, absolutely not. Like that is a weekend game. That is a game where I'm like, it's 2 p.m. on a Sunday, I am chilling and I'm like, hey, let's play some Black Myth Wukong. And I'll play it for an hour and be like, I hate this freaking game. Because
So
you get
it's
that
not-
one boss.
Yeah, so it's not quite to the Souls-like experience that you would
Yes.
see in a Souls game, but it feels hard enough to where I feel like I get the same kind of stress that I do when I play a Souls game.
Yes. And my friends, I have 2 friends in particular who are really big FromSoft guys. And obviously Night Rain just came out and they are pushing very hard for me to play Night Rain. So like earlier this year, because of Night Rain's release, I was like, oh, I'll try Elden Ring. And, I played it a bit and was like, I don't know. if
Not
this
for
is
you.
For me. Yeah. It was like, it's fine, but it's not necessarily for me. And so I was willing to give it another go with Black Myth Wukong because they were like, it's not really a Souls-like game, but it's hard enough to where it has sort of that Souls vibe and that it's difficult enough, but plays different. And that resonated with me because it played like, Fallen Order, right? Which I really, really enjoyed when I played it.
I love Fallen Order.
Yeah, it's a great game. Yeah, it fits that niche, but yeah, that's definitely if I'm in a good mood, I will play that game. If I'm not in a good mood, I won't go anywhere near it because I'm like, it's like you get into those boss fights, especially boss fights that have multiple phases, and like you just yeah.
How do you feel when you play it though, outside of the frustration? Do you feel like you're
Yeah.
getting that power fantasy that
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
people get?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, especially when you beat a boss, like, especially a boss that you've been struggling with, like, it feels good. And you're like, man, I want to keep going and I want to keep doing this. And it is probably the best part of that whole game is like figuring out the different combos and abilities that you can use to do things. So, like, especially when you slay something and then you're able to like take its essence essentially and then use that in different fights. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, when I'm in the mood for them, they can be really good. But it's when I'm in the mood.
Mission complete.
So I'm interested though. I'm interested in diving deeper. Just with one quick question here. When Black Myth, like, how far do you feel like you've gotten? What's the latest boss you remember?
Not far.
Not far at all.
No. Because like it's definitely a different skill set. So the one thing is like, I got my first PC, I think when I was 3 or 4 years old, because my dad is a huge gamer and he wanted the PC game with his kids. So like one of the first games I ever played was Doom. Or no, not Doom. Oh my, Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem 3D. So we played Duke Nukem 3D, and I remember we played Duke Nukem 3D in like the Star Wars games. So like Jedi Knight Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2. So like I grew up on FPS games, so like the Souls-like mechanics are not something I'm comfortable with or feel great about. So like half of my battle is like just getting the repetition down of knowing how to time your dodges, knowing how to chain combos, because it's not something that's familiar to me. And that game is very controller centric. Yeah, it's on top of having to learn an entirely new mechanical skill set. It's also just a difficult game.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And so you've also been playing Indiana Jones or slow walking it down.
Yes.
Like, how do you and do you feel like you've come around on it? Because initially you weren't really into the game.
Yes, I had to change my outlook on it. So like I had
So
to.
how so?
So like for instance, I know that you and I the last time we talked about it being baby's first stealth game. And like I had to like almost pull that out of my head and like throw it out the window and be like, treat it like take it for what it is. Are you
Mhm.
having fun, or do you just think the mechanic is stupid? And so it became a line of, well, I am having fun, even though
That's
there
great.
are times where the mechanic is stupid, because like I said, you'll hit a guy with a chair or whatever, and like it'll be this really loud sound, and the guy hits the ground, and there's all this going on, and there's like a dude maybe 3 feet away, and he doesn't
Heard
hear a thing.
nothing. Doesn't
Nothing.
hear anything.
Right. So like in those moments it takes it out, but like when you execute it well, it feels good. I've also just sort of gotten to the point where I just throw stealth out the window. I just go in, punch people out, and shoot people. I'm like, it's like I have more fun that way. It's more challenging that way because the fights are challenging, specifically when they have really good guns and you don't have any ammo. It's really difficult.
So where are you at?
So
Like,
I'm
spoiler
in.
alert for all the people listening, like, who want to play this game. Like,
Yes.
what section of the world are you at?
I think, is it Thailand? Is that where the...
Yeah.
Yes. So I've made it all the way to Thailand, and I've started to do the exploration stuff for it. So
That's a really cool set piece, by the way.
it is. And that's part of the... I like that the sort of boat and swimming dynamicism that they've added, because it adds, I think, a much needed layer of being a new area that's explorable, but it gives it a different twist from the previous 2 areas.
Mm-hmm.
You were totally right. Cairo is the best area. Like it has the
I
best.
feel-
It has the best exploration. It's probably like the coolest set piece that there is.
And it feels Indiana Jones too.
Yes.
It feels like that. And, like the Tomb Raider kind of vibes
Yes.
as well. Like it feels like you're archaeologist.
Yes.
And yeah, you get that vibe there. Whereas like in the Vatican, it felt like you are, and because you are in a very civilized part of the world, that
Yes.
is, you could find secrets and such like that, but it almost feels like somebody, with how many times they renovated this place, probably should have found these secrets, like,
yeah, exactly.
in Cairo, it feels like an Indiana Jones film. It feels like,
Yes.
it feels like you're out there in the wild. It feels like you're discovering things. So yeah, when you're playing this though, did you like, because like I wanted to get through the game, I wasn't super enjoying it the way like a lot of people did. So I started turning the cursors on in the menu, so where it kind of give me indicators of where I can find things and how quickly I can get there. And I'm like, well, that made it so much more enjoyable for me, because I can just haul ass to the other side of Cairo, know exactly where I'm going, or know what secret is kind of nearby, as opposed to like finding it organically. Like, are you playing the organic way still?
Yeah, so I'm playing the organic way still, but like, because I tried it, but like it just, for me, it wasn't satisfying, because it was like, I know where that is.
Yeah,
It's like,
I understand that.
Yeah, whereas like finding it does feel good. I think the thing that also makes Indiana Jones a more enjoyable experience is playing it on a proper PC setup that actually gets the full visual fidelity experience out of it. Because yeah, when I first started playing, I was playing on an Intel Arc B580 with an untuned Intel Ultra 7 265K on a 1980 by 1080p 240 refresh or 240 hertz refresh rate monitor, which is not a bad setup. Not a bad
No,
setup
not
by
at all.
any means. But yeah, you don't get the ray tracing. You don't get the really high frame rates. You don't get the full visual experience. So upgrading to a 1440p OLED monitor with a 5090, properly tuning the CPU, having enough RAM, having everything, and being able to crank up the path tracing and everything to maximum, wildly different experiences.
It felt more cinematic.
Yes, and there were a lot of moments too where it's like, specifically with Cairo, they do so much with the lighting, and they set up so many different moments with the lighting that it's like, man, when you get into a tomb and you get that moment where the light sort of creeps through and it hits the statue and you get sort of the really high texture points, and it becomes super, super, super immersive, and that experience is awesome. So that's sort of the other part of that, where it's like, okay, now that the visual fidelity is as high as it is, I'm like just enjoying the visual fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also something with Cyberpunk. It's like, now that I have sort of that, that option available to me. It's like I should go in and try to experience it as much as possible. Because like when we first got the 5090 installed, one of the first things that I did was fire up Cyberpunk, as everybody does. Like they want to see, what full path tracing looks like and see what all the ray tracing is like. And yeah, driving to the middle part of town and having the lights reflect off water and, getting the full visual experience that you do. It's like, wow, okay. Like I get it now. So yeah, that's also another part of it now too. Is it's like, okay, I want to find those games. That's also part of the reason I bought Black Myth Wukong is I want to experience those games that have such high levels of fidelity to sort of enjoy that. Did we lose you, Sebastion?
Boom. Sorry.
He's back. He's back.
It cut out on us. Yeah,
you're good.
So you were saying though.
Yeah, so
the first thing you did was cut on Cyberpunk.
Yeah, so I put on Cyberpunk and then went to sort of the middle of the downtown area where you have sort of the neon signs that are up everywhere that sort of reflect off of surfaces and water and things. It was like having those ray traced reflections occur was so cool. It was like, okay, now like this is why you play this. So I want to give it another go so that way I can hopefully get more immersed in sort of the high visual fidelity. But yeah, that's been another big thing is, it's part of the reason I bought Black Myth Wukong is because it is such a demanding high fidelity game. And it's like, I want to experience more of these high fidelity games because graphics has never necessarily been something that I've chased. But now that I've sort of experienced it, it's like, Pandora's box. You can't go back. Yeah. It's like, this is incredible. So
did you like I'm curious. So with now having this super beefy PC that that allows you to get these high graphic fidelity moments and such like that out of games, especially single player games. Like, have you thought about entering in that PlayStation library, especially considering now that a lot of those have come to PC, like the Spider-Mans of the world, Spider-Man 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Because I was like, that might be something that might really tickle your fancy. I know you're not, you weren't super interested in going to see Superman, so I'm not sure. What's your superhero level there?
Used to be relatively high, particularly when the MCU was really booming.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to go to the midnight releases of those movies. No, not so much. But
yeah, I understand.
But like it's definitely on the radar. So generally, I think the biggest flip for me has been sort of following as much tech YouTube as I do now, particularly the hardware reviewers, because it's like, when they get a game that they benchmark, I'm like, well, I want to benchmark it. I want to see how I do. I want to see how it looks and how it plays and how it feels. So yeah, even with the new ITX build, because I have the main desktop and then the ITX build that I did, it's fun to just like ping pong back and forth between the two and run benchmarks. So like my younger brother, he also has, a 5090 and he's got his setup. And the thing that we like to do is like he'll run Cyberpunk and then test all of his settings and he's like, hey, this is what I got. What did you get? And then like I'll run mine and then I'm like, and then after I run the desktop, I'm like, hey, let's find out what the ITX build does. And so yeah, the more I see like those benchmarks for certain games, the more I'm like, well, I want to pick that up. I'd love to benchmark it and then at least play it.
It's almost the benchmark is almost your game at that point, it's like
honestly, yes. Honestly, yes. The one thing I have learned is particularly with the ITX build, the fun is the tinkering. With the ITX build, ultimately the thing that was learned was we picked the wrong CPU. We picked a CPU that was too powerful for the small setup that we did. So it was either a case issue or it was a CPU issue. It turned out to be a CPU issue because I love the case.
It's a nice case too. Is that the same one with the wood accents?
Yes, the Fractal Terra.
Yeah.
The thing about the Terra is I think it's an 11 ounce case. So like the volume of the case is 11 ounces. There are other cases that are, mini ITX, but they're like 12 or 13. And the more volume that you have allows for, more space, so better cooling. The problem with the ITX build is Intel being the dire straits that Intel is in right now, a lot of their CPUs are on sale. And their CPUs are good, especially if you're willing to put in the time to tune them. And the Intel Ultra 7 265K was on sale for like $230. And I'm like, I have one. I know how good it is. I know what it'll do. Give me. But the problem is the air cooler that you would need to cool it has to be very beefy.
Oh yeah.
And we don't have a good air cooler that's that small. And the only other option is liquid cooling, and this case is too small for liquid. So it's like, last Saturday we sat there and we undervolted the different cores and we tried to change the ring ratio, and then we started power limiting, and like I probably did this for like 3 hours, and that was like, to me, that was more fun than like playing a game. Was like, oh man, how does it perform in Cinebench now? What's the score that it gets? Does it get a good score? Well, what's the heat? When does it start thermally throttling? Like that kind of stuff is like, to a degree, has almost replaced Destiny because it is so numbers based that it's like I have more fun almost benchmarking and being like, okay, well, but how does this driver affect? Because the benchmark that we all use is 3D Mark. You can buy it through Steam, and they have various tests and things, and you can compare your tests versus other similar builds, and it's fun to be like, okay, well, this person has the same setup and the same GPU. Well, how do they get that score? And then like trying to figure out how to do all that stuff.
That's fun. That is fun. How do you do y'all have a micro center where you're at? Because it seems like that's a place where you
No.
could easily get
Yes.
lost in.
So-
get lost in.
The one perk of my job is that I travel to LA. So this year alone, I will have traveled to LA 10 out of 12 months.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a lot. Now, they send me to every part of LA. So because of that, I definitely have favoritism to inspections in the Anaheim area because it's very close to the Tustin Micro Center and it's very close to Disneyland. So I'm like, okay, one night I can go over to Micro Center and I can go check out all their PC parts, and the next night I can go to downtown Disney and go eat all this food. Yes,
I like how they're on the same tier, basically, like Micro Center and Disney.
Micro Center is just the best.
It's crazy how deep and how like stocked they are.
And the only thing that's around me, I mean, there is a Micro Center in Santa Clara. So like that's 2.5 hours away. It just opened.
That's too long. That's too long of a drive.
Well, I have talked about with my brothers, we call it the Great Micro Center Pilgrimage. So the next time that we need parts or something, it's like, okay, we'll make the pilgrimage to Micro Center, get our stuff and go. But yeah, like I go to like Best Buy and it's sad. It's like you go into Best Buy and you're like, this is not at all close to a similar experience. Whereas like Micro Center it's definitely like, it's like a hobby store. I think that's the best way somebody described it, is like Best Buy is a consumer store, whereas Micro Center is a hobby store.
That's a good way of looking at it.
The conversations you'll have with the Micro Center employees, they're just as invested in it as you are. Like the people in the PC building area are like, yeah, you'll have conversations with them about, oh, well, what do you think of this GPU at this price point? And they're like, nah, I wouldn't do that. I would do this, and here's why I do this, and they'll like break it down for you. And it's really fun to have those conversations.
Yeah.
So yeah, those like Micro Center is the best. It is absolutely the best.
I like how you put it on the same tier as Disneyland for you. You're like, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, heck, when I went there I went there in March, and we picked up. So my younger brother was looking for his 5090 as his college graduation gift. We found him a 50. They didn't have a 5090 they did have a 5090 at the time, but I think it was like 29 or whatever, and we were like, that's $900 over MSRP. Probably not. So like pass. And then where he's like, well, do they have a 5080? And they had a 5080 at a decent price. So it's like, okay, I dragged that back for him. So I fit it in my little carry-on suitcase and brought it back for him. And the next time I go down there, they had an open box 5090. And I'm like, well, I want an open box 5090. That's not a bad price. It's like every time. So my girlfriend is terrified that every time I'm going to go to Micro Center, I'm going to end up with bringing home another GPU.
Yeah, yeah, for good reason. For good reason. You don't shop cases though, just GPUs.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm like relatively happy with my case. But
what made you go micro?
So with the main desktop, it's a full ATX case. So like the main desktop has the plenty of space. The micro was just because it was something different. I had watched enough building tutorials to be like, well, I want to attempt that. And it also improved on a lot of things that I don't necessarily get tested on for like full desktop building. So for example, when I built this original desktop cable management was like, I don't care, there's plenty of space in there as long as it's not touching a fan, I don't care. Whereas with the micro 8 or the ITX, it was like, hey,
You have to care.
you have to care because you have to be able to place your cables accordingly so it's not an absolute mess to get in there. So that kind of stuff is interesting. Or like, again, sort of trying to figure out what parts even fit and work in there, like trying to figure out, so like, because the case has like a movable spine in the middle of it where you can adjust either one way or the other, and the GPU sits on one side and the CPU is on the other, and depending on your clearance on both the GPU height and the CPU cooler height dictates where you need to move the spine. So it was really fun and exciting trying to figure out, okay, if I get this GPU, this is how close it's going to sit with the spine, and then how much CPU clearance does it give me? Is that enough clearance for the fan? Is that going to cause rattle on the case? Like it's that little amount of tinkering that's like absolutely fascinating that I'm like, yeah, this.
So, if someone supplied a console and a 3D printer, would you be interested in like rehousing like a PS5?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've seen so many videos. They look so cool.
One of the things I started doing recently was watching people take apart consoles and then reassemble consoles, or like do repair on old consoles. So for example, I watched somebody recently do a repair on an original Xbox, and I was like, that is so freaking cool. So like, that's down the road. I want to get there. But like, at some point I would love to learn how to like solder a motherboard and how to put transistors on a board, or remove broken parts, put correct parts on there. It's a stretch, but like, at some point I'd love to do that, because I'm really, really fascinated by like, I know that especially with Facebook Marketplace, there's a lot of people that are like selling broken GPUs. And it's like, man, I would love to buy like a 1080 Ti, refurbish it, and have a 1080 Ti. It's a classic. It's like, it's held up as one of the pinnacles of one of the greatest graphics cards ever. I would love to have like a 1080 Ti build and load up like, Far Cry on it and see
That'd
how
be
it
really cool.
performs.
That'd be cool. Like, I got into the weeds recently watching some people like have those old retro like Game Boy and Game Boy Advances.
Yes.
And then they'll take the battery part, where you used to insert the batteries in the back, and then they'll turn it into a USB charger now.
Yes.
And they'll add that, and I'll be like, damn, that's so cool. Like, I get so hyped about it. I was like, that's the dream. I would have loved that growing up. Absolutely love that.
Right? Yeah, that same thing for me. I'm like, man, if I can get my hands on, because you're right, the 3D printer thing. Because one of the solutions I came up for the ITX build is, I'm like, man, if this thing could just fit like a liquid cooler, we could make it work. And I'm like, if I had a 3D printer, I could like totally print an entirely new top for the ITX build that would slot in an AIO, and that would solve the issue, and it would just be a little bit larger than it is now. It'd be fine. And I'm like,
it's just the extra inches or two that a 3D printer would have allowed you to gain. And I'm like, oh, that's, man, it's so cool. Like, I haven't really gotten hands on a lot with a 3D printer, but like, I'm always fascinated to see what all these people have come up with, especially in like the PC building space or like the soldering space as well. They've come up with like some really cool innovative things. I saw a woodworker who had like a 3D printer, and half like it was almost like accented like yours. He took apart a PS5 and he basically built a new case for it that was like almost like an old school PS2 with the ridges and everything in the front, but he made the ridges all the way around, and then he made it circular, almost like very like, it's still a square, but he made it very circular around the edges to where it almost looks like a record player, kind of, to where and then he had like that woodworking on the wood. He woodworked on the top, like that nice like accent wall on there. So it almost looks like a retro style. It almost looked like a retro style record player meets like a PS2, but it was his PS5, and I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that really gets me going. Because like, okay, everybody does the same stuff with PC building. Everybody's got the NZXT case, and they have the 52 RGB fans in there, and it's got, the whole glass panel, and everybody can see all your RGB and blah blah blah.
It
I'm
looks
the
so
opposite. It looks nice. I'm gonna give it to it. But I'm like, you know what's really cool is like the people who make like the these style,
nice. Oh yeah.
like Mac looking PC setups with like the wood accents and stuff. It's like, man, I see that and I'm like,
It does. It does. And it looks like aesthetically pleasing on a desk
yes,
or like in a
yes.
entertainment system too. So I like have you seen the Fantastic Four, the new one?
No, I haven't seen it, but I've heard very good things about it.
I think you'd actually like it because it has a lot of space in it. Like actually like
fair.
a lot of space travels, but it's more spacey than, and I like their visualization of like warp drive and everything like
Mhm.
that, and
Mhm.
actually avoiding black holes and all that kind of stuff. It is very more, it's more interstellar than I gave it credit for, but and it's like interstellar, but it's still MCU, but it's also like there's also like a lot of Star Wars moments into it. So I'm
Ah.
like, yeah, but it's only like one, I would say like a 45-minute section of the movie is like that.
I
And the
mean, that's
rest
a
of it
pretty
is like,
substantial part of
yeah,
the movie, though.
yeah. The rest of it is like, you know, typical MCU movie. But the reason I brought up the Fantastic Four, that like 60s futuristic look, like I've seen a lot of people use that kind of like style into like their rebuilds and their
Mhm.
like their rehomings of PCs, and I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. And the way like that way that like 60s mid-century modern look like works with a lot of
Yes.
PC builds now, I'm like, oh, it looks so cool.
Yeah, I've seen those, or like the one that I really, really, really liked recently. I can't remember the company, but they did like a straight up indie style PC case where it was
Wow.
totally closed off, but it had all of the modern
Yeah.
features. But like, you know, where you used to have like hard drive casings and where
Mhm.
you used to have floppy disk, the floppy disk reader, and they like had it all on the front, and they all served like different features for the PC. Like you could do various things with it, and I was like, that's the stuff
Take me
I'm looking
back.
for.
Yeah. Yeah. Take me back, man. I remember when we used, like growing up, there was those like, it was like closed cases, but a lot, there was a trend going around where a lot of them would be like those clear cases as well. Like they
Yes.
were, yeah, they'd be like clear orange or clear like
Yes.
teal.
Yes.
Yes, clear purple.
That was my first Game Boy. I remember being a
Mhm.
kid and green was my favorite color as a kid, and I was like, everything had to be green. And I remember I asked my parents for a green Game Boy and they couldn't get one, and they got me a clear Game Boy, which at the
Yeah.
time was a big deal for me. I was like, oh, this is a deal breaker. I hate this. But now as an adult, I'm like, dude, that clear plastic was so freaking cool.
Cool, man. So cool. I had that atomic purple at the Game Boy
Yeah.
Advance, and I was like, yeah, it felt so cool at that time. Man, if I could get that, like I'm not a big Switch guy. I have a Switch, don't play it very much. But I'm like, I've told myself many a times, if I ever recase that bad boy, I'm putting atomic purple on the back of on the back of that and just rocking out with that. But like I want to try, I think I'm gonna get up the gumption to try that with the Steam Deck as well. There's been some interesting, yeah, because like you can, it's more modular than I think the Switch is as far as like taking
yeah.
off the back and such like that, to where like Steam encourages you to kind of like play, tinker around, remove hard drive,
Yeah.
add a new hard drive and such like that. But so I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking I might want to augment that and get like a clear atomic purple like shell for it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that'd be sick.
Are you gonna come up with your own custom startup software thing as well? Because
I've done that, yeah.
Nice,
I've
because
done
yeah,
that.
I've seen the videos doing the rounds recently of all the different videos that people have as their startup thing, and
I
I'm
think
like, that's
mine is
brilliant.
like, it cycles through 3 of them. Mine is like, one of them is the Futurama entrance, like the
Yeah,
intro
yeah.
where, yeah, and at the end it shows Steam Deck as opposed to the Futurama logo. I think that one's one. The other one was the Star Wars where you go into warp drive, and at the end of the warp drive it shows Steam Deck at the end of it. So I'm like, that one's the second one, and then the third one was, I think it was, what was it? It was I know it had something to do with like, oh, I think it was like, what was it? Not Long Kiss Goodnight. It was the Samuel Jackson one. I can't remember what it was though. But yeah, I know. Yeah, I know it was like Samuel Jackson shooting a gun, and when that smoke clears, you see Steam Deck, and Sam Jackson is like still right beside it. I was like, that one was really cool as well. But yeah, I love how you can augment and kind of like reconfigure the intros. It's probably one of my favorite devices to tinker with. I'd almost want another one just to reshell and make a home console out of it, because I've seen a lot of people do that as well.
I mean, I get it. I mean, what? I have 2 PCs now, and I already started playing around on PC Part Picker with what would a third PC look like? And I'm like, I was talking to my brothers about it because I'm like, part of the build process is like, especially because the desktop is as high end as it is, it's like part of the build process is like, okay, what's not going to break the bank? So what's on sale? So like, for instance, if a really good CPU came on sale, I probably want to pick it up just because that'd be something fun to tinker around and play with. And I'm like, okay, if I were to do sort of like a tinker build where it's all sale parts or parts that I find at reasonable prices that I accumulate over a period of time, I'm more okay with it as opposed to it just being, I'm going to build a third PC for the fun of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm totally with you because it's like, I've tried to find a use for a third PC. I can't because I can barely. I've managed to find a use in 2 only because I can use the mini ITX to replace a laptop. But a third, it's like, I don't know.
It's not really that functional at that point.
No, that one would just be for fun at that point.
Yeah. So, Alec, I want to ask you a series of questions here.
Okay.
All right. So, my first question: what would the dream Star Trek game be for you? The dream Star Trek game. Would it be like a No Man's Sky situation? Would it kind of be like a
No, that's
Would
a
it be-
good question.
Would it be like a Telltale type of game to where it's more narrative?
Well, they did that one Telltale game or Telltale.
Yeah, that wasn't good though.
Yeah.
That wasn't good though.
No, I heard it was good. I just
was
haven't.
it?
Yeah, I haven't touched it yet, but I know that it's the same company that did Telltale. The Star Trek game that they did recently that didn't do well was the Paradox one, where they did it like it was supposed to be like Stellaris, and then it was supposed to get a bunch of support, and then they cut all of the support.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it was kind of sad. But like the dream, I don't know. I think it's so hard because
Why is this such a hard IP to make into a video game, as opposed to so many other IPs that have been adapted well, or at least had a couple of good adaptations?
like it could be done more as an RPG. So I think that's sort of the one where I more gravitate towards just because Star Trek is so character driven.
Mhm.
And I think that's sort of the thing that modern Trek really struggles with is it's trying to appeal to a modern audience, but most of the people that like Star Trek like the 90s stuff. So like next gen is like, next gen is next gen. Like we want more next gen, but we don't want next gen. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard because like I think a lot of games are action based, which makes sense, right? Or action adventure, or I mean, I guess you could make like a cozy Star Trek builder game. That'd be interesting, but
I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. I
mean,
wouldn't hate it.
But yeah, I think if you really want to capture particularly that subset of people, I think it would have to be an RPG.
What if it's like a BioWare type of RPG, like
that's
like Mass Effect?
Yeah, I was thinking more that Mass Effect style. I think that would probably be the right way. But again, it's hard. I think it's just hard because it's like, how much of the in-universe do you want to change and how much do you want to play with it? And then like, what's the overall goal? I think that's the other thing too. So like if they made like if they made next gen era game in which you were, fighting the Romulans or stopping some Romulan plot from occurring, that was sort of an RPG in the Mass Effect style, I think that would probably work. That would probably make most people happy. But yeah, it's hard. It's a really hard IP to play with.
Yeah, I don't. It's so. It has such rich lore though that I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah, that I feel like if you respect the lore enough, that you can kind of. Okay, what you got?
Baldur's Gate style. If you did a Star Trek almost D&D choose your own adventure game, that would land. Because I was trying to think of like games where it's very story driven, very character driven. And I was like, okay, RPG obviously off rip, and then Mass Effect fits that. But yes, I think if it was more of a turn-based exploration style, you're trying to complete objectives and maybe work your way up, the ranks in Starfleet or whatever, and trying to become a captain. I mean, yeah, you get all your companions and assemble your crew, and that would work. So yeah, it would have to be something like that. But even that has its own challenges, right? Because
Oh, yeah, for sure.
how do you solve the scientific problem solving of the game? Is that a roll of the dice? Do you make the player figure it out?
Yeah, or so like one of the reasons I asked is because like there's a game that I've been playing lately, The Altars, which is kind of like a base building. It's like a base building game that sort of fuses base building with Dead Space and also with Dead Space, with its mystery, with its like exploration and all that, and it kind of fuses that with a almost like a Mass Effect and BioWare type of managing your crew. So the whole premise of the game is like you are a person that has been sent, is one of the generic workers that's been sent to a faraway planet to basically look for a resource called, I think it's Rapidium. Rapidium is like a resource that scientists have have probed a little bit, but they see like some untapped potential. So they sent like a team of excavators to kind of see the scientific effects. What could this do for mankind? That sort of thing. You get to the planet, the rest of the crew's dead. Everybody just dead. Yeah. And you get there, you see the ship that's sort of like your main base is like it's fallen from the sky. It's a giant wheel, and it's like a giant like car wheel. Imagine that, and it has like almost like these tankers, almost like a freight containers that make up different rooms, make up different type of rooms. And so you get to your base, you manage to call back to Earth, and they said, like, hey, weird concept, but like go see what that rubidium can actually do. You see what it can do, and it turns out it can actually make life forms. And you try it out, it can make you try it out, you make a sheep, and you're like, oh, you report back, hey, I was able to actually make a life form with this. And they're like, well, make a crew to help you out then. So the whole thing is like, okay, but I need genetic pieces to make a crew. Well, the only genetic piece is you and the sheep. So you actually use yourself and you clone yourself, but you use the supercomputer that's on the ship to alter the memories of what the clone thinks is like what the clone's life would have been. So like you take pieces of your life, you've logged in all the memories of your whole entire life into the computer, and then you go into the computer and you say like, hey, instead of me leaving for college at this point, what if I stay home with my sick mom and abusive father? What choices would that have led to? The computer simulates that choices and simulates like a lifestyle and a occupation according to that choice that you made, or lack thereof a choice. So there's one guy who made that exact sort of choice in that scenario. He became a doctor. And there's another guy who like he went off to college, he didn't drop out, and he went on to become a scientist. You clone yourself, and he really thinks and knows, and because the computer has also helped bridge that gap, he thinks like a scientist. He knows like scientific terms. He becomes like the researcher on your ship. So the whole time you're there, he's telling you like, okay, this is like some things that can help, that like these are organics, these are like rubidiums, this is like what rubidium can actually do for us. Like we probably need to like find more of these resources. But he has personality, he has his own like personality traits. He is obsessive and compulsive, as opposed to like a miner whose like arm was chopped off and he believes his arm was chopped off. That's a memory he has. But he wakes up, he's a clone with two arms. But for some reason, because he had that memory, he still has that phantom feeling. So it is very sci-fi. It's very sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's very trippy. But it's almost like that game has made me feel like I would love to see an established IP with that sort of like thought process. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think Star Trek has to be like you working with the overall universe of Star Trek. Sometimes maybe like simpling
just
it
a
down to
slice.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
you being stuck or stranded on a planet and you trying to figure out like how to get off of it, or maybe like you rebuilding your ship from the ground up, or just some kind
Yeah.
of like slice of life might be actually be really cool in that universe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is a really insanely detailed concept for a game. Like, that's
Man,
crazy.
it blew my mind. It's got so bad to where I started thinking about that game when I wasn't playing it, and that's how I know I'm hooked on a
Yep.
game. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, like the saves that you do in the game, it saves at the end of every day. So like you can, instead of you saying like, well, I didn't like what I did in that day, I'm just gonna go back and I'll go back 3 days and then see maybe I'll choose a different path and different things to farm out. Maybe I will, instead of cloning this guy, I know I'm not really vibing with this personality, I'll clone myself a botanist, and that botanist will, I want to see what his personality is like. If we vibe together, maybe if I make like a garden in like the clubhouse, instead of me going out and farming organics, he'll start like I assign my altars, that's what they call them, the clones,
Yeah.
into different parts of the ship or different parts of like the outposts that I made, and they start harvesting or start doing their things. Different specializations do better in different scenarios as well. And this is all like, it looks like Dead Space. Like it looks like that type of game. It's not like a 2D retro style game. It's like, it looks like Dead Space. It kind of plays in a similar vein. It is, yeah, it is weird. It's funky. It's sci-fi, but it's right up my alley. And I put like 50 hours into this small game and just beat it the other day. And I was like, God, I kind of want to go back and see what choices I could have made differently, or like actually like choose a whole different sort of like clones. Cause I think it gives you like maybe up to 10 to 12 like clone options.
Yeah.
And cloning different possibilities. All of them are voiced and acted by the same person who plays each character so differently. Because like they have so many
it's the
different memories and
same.
experiences.
Yeah.
There's one guy like who's like more like a hippie kind of like musician type of guy, but he's a shrink at the same point, so he's very strict about those sort of things. There's a guard who was like, didn't, he has his own little quirks and qualms. There's a technician, all sorts of different like occupations and roles, but all of them have their own personalities. So it's like, it sort of scratches that brain of like, I've been fiending for Mass Effect, but I've also been fiending for third person over the shoulder adventures. And I also love managing, like all sorts of different things. And yeah, it sort of fills that void. It's slow moving though. It's not like Destiny to where it's blink and you're always doing something kinetic energy. So I'm like,
yeah,
this is like Indiana Jones speed.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the other problem with replacing Destiny games. Is like Destiny is so pick up and play, and it's actually gotten even worse now because it's even more pick up and play than it used to be. That it's like, holy cow! Like playing a slow experience, my brain is like, but I'm ready. I'm like, I know.
Feel like,
hold on.
Come on, let's ramp this up. Let's ramp this up. That's funny. I know it's getting late. I want to ask you 10 trivia questions before we go. Are you game for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So here we go. This is the challenge of a lifetime. This is the trivia portion of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if he's ready. How many out of 10 are you think you're going to get right? It's specifically video
4.
game. Okay.
Well,
I like
okay.
that.
We'll say 4. We'll stick with 4. 4 is probably
Okay.
a safe choice.
Okay. I like that. All right. So here we go. We're starting off easy and we'll ramp up as we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Which game features a character named Joel? What game features a character named Joel being the main protagonist of said game?
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us.
I don't know why. For some odd reason, I went to Super Mario Bros. I'm like,
Joel in Mario Brothers.
I was thinking Smash Bros. For some reason that he was a Smash Bros. Character, and I'm like, wait. No,
not quite. But by the way, you can call the lifeline a multiple choice if you don't feel comfortable.
Okay.
All right. So, What is the name of the main city in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim? The main city.
Aren't there like 3 technically? Because
There's
well, I
3,
guess
but I think there's a big hub. Is like the centralized big hub city. I think is what they're calling the main city.
okay. Is it Winterhold? Is that right?
That is very close. That is very close.
Ah, dang it.
Whiterun.
Right.
Whiterun.
I forgot. So my mind went to initially Solitude because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's where all the Imperials are, and then I'm like, Winterhold's on the river. I'm like, it could be Winterhold, but yeah,
There's
Whiterun.
Windhelm as well. That's
Yeah,
why I was like,
Windhelm as well. Yeah.
Windhelm, Riften, and in Solitude, or like
Yeah.
major cities around there as well. All right, so you're one of one. I mean, one of two.
Well, one of
I
two.
guess. One of two, yeah. Missed one, got one. All right, so which of the following is a FromSoft video game? Which of the
Okay.
following? Is it Neo, Code Vein, Ghost of Tsushima, or Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice?
Sekiro.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
that's
were-
the one that everybody's pushing me to try because they're like,
I don't think you'll like it. I do not think you'll like it. I do not. If you get frustrated about like of what was the game we were talking about? earlier?
Black Myth Wukong.
Black
Yeah.
Myth. Yeah, Sekiro's gonna eat that lunch. It's frustrating, and it's fast, but it's so demanding.
I've heard it's the hardest of them. That's the
yeah.
one thing I have heard is that it's the hardest of them, but everybody thinks that I should because they say it has the most unique gameplay of the FromSoft games. So I was like, interesting.
It does, but I think it's more because it's parry focused. It's so
Okay.
parry focused, but it's still a FromSoft game. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, if you don't like Elden Ring, if you didn't like, Black Myth, which is not FromSoft, but kind of like in that same kind of like realm there. If you don't like Dark Souls, you're not gonna like Sekiro.
Yeah, you're not gonna write Sekiro.
No. All right. So, what is the name of the robotic dinosaurs in Horizon Zero Dawn?
Oh boy. Yeah, that's a series I have not played.
I actually love this series. I would not recommend it to you because it's a little slower, but I think you'd like the sci-fi. But I don't think you'd
would.
necessarily
I know
like
my
the
girlfriend has
gameplay.
played it.
Okay.
Because she has the dual collection for Steam Deck.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I'm gonna be honest.
It is the most generic of names. They are the machines.
Wow,
They are the machines.
I should have taken a crack at that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, in number 5, in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, who is the main character?
Cal Kestis.
That is absolutely correct.
There we
That is
go.
absolutely correct. It seems like you miss one, get one. Miss one, get
Yeah,
one.
but it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
We've
You're
almost
doing
hit
good.
we're
Yeah. Yeah. So, what was the gaming studio that developed the video game Control?
Oh.
Would you like multiple choice, sir?
Yes, multiple choice would be great.
Was it Arcane, Ninja Theory, Remedy, or Crystal Dynamics?
Want to say it was Arcane. Yeah, I'll say Arcane. I'll take it as a guess.
Arcane is incorrect. That was Dishonored. That was Dishonored. Control was Remedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They made Remedy made Control, Alan Wake 2.
That's right.
Yeah. I've not played those. I've not played Alan Wake 2 like that.
I have not either, but it is another one I want to add to the test bench suite because I have
yeah, it looks
heard
nice.
that the ray tracing in the game is very demanding. So I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, you have my interest.
You're like, I just want to benchmark you at this point.
Yeah, I'm like, just
At this
show me
point,
the numbers.
I hope for your sake, I hope they have like Steam demos and you can kind of just do the demo as opposed to just buying it to $30 to $40 and just for a
Well,
benchmark.
Well, so that's why, like, so far with benchmark games, I'm like, I've made it a rule for myself that I'm like, I have to have a remote interest in it. I'm like, if I don't have a remote interest in it to where I feel like I can get at least 5 hours of gameplay out of it, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
So
for sure not. That's a good rule. That is a good rule. This is another series I'm very unaware of because I'm a chicken baby crybaby. It is
no.
question 7. In Resident Evil 4, who do you play as the main character?
I'm gonna guess Leon.
That is absolutely correct. That is
Okay, there
absolutely
we
correct.
go.
That is absolutely correct.
Is it Leon Kennedy? Is that his name?
That is it. Leon
Okay,
Kennedy.
there we go.
Leon S. Kennedy. Yeah.
So I am not a scary games guy at all. I'm like,
Neither am I.
You know, as we were joking with Black Myth Wukong being too stressful, scary games are way too stressful,
too
man.
stressful.
I'm like-
Way too stressful.
I'm like, I play games to relax and unwind. I say this as I play Destiny 2 and Battlefield 6 and all these multiplayer
But
games
those are
that
like
cause.
those are like second nature to you, though. At that point, you know, you're not afraid of anything. You're highly overpowered at this point.
Well, yeah, I guess it does bring, like, I was playing the beta earlier and I dropped like a 40 bomb in a lobby and I was like that heightened awareness of, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. So, to a degree, that's true. But yeah, to the degree of scary games, like I can't. I can
In
barely do
Destiny, you're
things like-
Superman. I was like, why
Yeah.
would you be afraid of anything at this point?
Yeah, like even like Final Destination came out recently and I'm like, I could couldn't watch. Nope.
Nah. I couldn't even watch that back in the day.
I like my girlfriend really wanted to watch Sinners, and like I can't even do that because I heard that there were a couple jump scares in there, and I'm like,
Yep.
no.
I understand that. I understand. And I like Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld, but I was like, nope, that's too hard for my blood.
Yep, too scary.
Yeah. Which indie game involves escaping a time loop on a mysterious planet?
My God.
Pretty popular indie game, by the way.
Yes, I can see it too. I want to say it's Home something or other. My God.
Which indie game involves escaping a time loop on a mysterious planet?
Yeah, the name escapes me, but yeah, you're gonna say it, and I'm gonna be like, I knew it.
Well, I get this game mixed up because it's very closer to like another game that came out roughly around the same time. This one's The Outer Wilds.
That's right, The Outer Wilds, and then there's the game that's by the same people that did it's Outer Worlds. That was the other one, and they do this. It's the same company that did. My God, Fallout New Vegas.
New Vegas. Yeah. They came out with a game earlier this year as well.
Yeah, I heard about that. What was that called? Was that Arcane? It was something along those lines.
What was it?
I know it was supposed to be. People said it was very Skyrim.
I actually played this to completion, and it's just so forgettable for me.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard. Is that it's just like sort of Skyrim but worse.
It's smaller, so I'm like, it's a little smaller, and it's a little like Obsidian, by the way.
Yes, Obsidian.
Yeah.
Yes,
Obsidian. And they're coming out with Outer Worlds too. Do you have any interest in that this year?
Yes, actually. So, like, I wanted to go back and play the Outer Worlds 1 because I know people really liked it when it first came out. I know it was one of the Game of the Year candidates, I believe, when it first came out. So, yeah, I'd be very interested to go back and play it because, yeah, that's another one where it just sort of slipped through the cracks. Where I'm like, that'd be a good one to play.
I think that one's fun. I think I was expecting Fallout and kind of got a little hurt by it, but because I was expecting Fallout, but I also didn't connect with the characters like I did in the Fallout universe. And also I think like I had played Fallout 4 previously, and I was expecting base building, and I was almost expecting.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was almost expecting to really enjoy my crew and all that kind of stuff, and it didn't quite click with me. But I think that's a game maybe I should try out again, especially since it's on Game Pass. Now, here's
the other one. Well, the other one I was going to say is, so I have tried New Vegas, and that's one that I really need to sit down and play all the way through because I
think you like New Vegas. It looks a little old, but
it does look a little old, but like it is a really good story game. So like, yeah, that's another one.
It's a fun one. Let's see. All right, this is one that I would not know the answer to, but perhaps you will. Number 9, in The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, what is the name of Link's horse by default?
Bill the Pony.
That's as good as a guess as I would have gave too. Onya, evidently, is the answer.
That's another series that like I remember in college, my friend had a Switch that he won at a raffle in our dorms, and it was like, oh man, we got a Switch now. And I remember we would play Mario Kart, which was great fun. Big Mario Kart fan. But like I was like, okay, the Switch would just sit there most of the time unless we were playing Mario Kart. So I was like, I'll buy Legend of Zelda, and he can keep it, whatever, but I can try it. Like I can try Breath of the Wild. Just did not get it. Like it did not land with me. Well. It just like I was like Like, if this is your thing, that's great. It's just not resonating with me. I tried, but just one of those games where I was like, I don't get it.
No, I didn't. It wasn't for me as well. I was dumb enough to even buy the sequel as well after I did not click with the first one. Hype got to me. The hype got to me.
Oh, I'm with you. I mean, I have again my little Destiny friend group that has now evolved out of that because
Yeah.
more than half of that group has stopped playing. But like they play it. They give me a hard time because they're like, "You're not a gamer. You just play like 3 games." And I'm like, "Hold on now. Gamers can play whatever the hell they want, so let's not box me in." But like they play a variety, and like they play Zelda, and they play Pokemon, and they play. I have one friend who plays a ton of indie games, and like I hear about all these games from all these people. Zelda is one like they pushed hard when Breath of the Wilds 2 came out, and I was like, no, it's just does not land with me.
I understand that. Exactly. All right, so your 10th and final question. You want it easy or hard?
Give it hard. We made it this far. I've already hit 4.
Yeah. I wouldn't get this one either because this is a series I plan on playing this year, but I've never actually played it. In Bioshock, what substance gives you plasmid powers?
Yeah, that's the thing that they inject into their arms.
Yeah. I've never actually played this game. Well, never actually played past 2 hours of the first game.
I've played Bioshock.
In Bioshock, what substance gives you plasmid powers?
My God, I can't remember what it's called.
Would you like the lifeline?
Yes.
Okay. Is it Rapture? Is it Eve? Is it Adam? Is it Mana?
It's Adam.
It is absolutely Adam.
It is Adam, yes.
It is absolutely Adam.
Yeah, I played through... So I didn't play Bioshock 2, but Bioshock 1 is a... How do I put this? It's not like a Mount Rushmore game, but it is really high up there. One of the game. It was like one of those games that you play and you'll never forget playing it.
So it's a classic for you.
It's not only is it a classic, but it's almost like a defining game. Like you play it and you're like, I want to feel that way when I play other games. Like Halo, like when Halo 3 came out, right? Halo 3 campaign comes out, like you're like, when you played it, you're like, I have to finish this now. I'm not finishing it tomorrow. I'm not finishing it later. I'm doing it now. Bioshock was the same way. When I played Bioshock, I went to a Christmas party that my best friend had, and his uncle worked for EA. So he had a hookup for all kinds of games, and he had Bioshock. And he's like, I think you should try this. You'll really like it. And I played it at that party, and I was like, this is one of the coolest things I've ever played in my life. So I went out and bought it and then played it all the way through. And I was like, this game is incredible. Like, it is really that good. I quote it all the time, too.
So it's in the Alec Hall of Fame then?
Yes. Bioshock, I didn't play 2, but I also played Bioshock Infinite, same thing.
Okay.
It's like, when I played it, it was like, I need to play this all the way through.
So are you excited? Are you going to like be an early adopter on this next Bioshock game coming out?
I want to be, but I will say I have been burned enough by video game releases over the last 5 years to know I'm like, unless it's something where I know regardless of quality. So like, for instance, with the Destiny expansion, everybody's like, why did you pre-order? You're already unhappy with this one. Why did you? Like, I know if it's shit, I will still play it.
You're in it at this point.
I might pay $100. I will still get 1,000 hours out of it. I'm like, okay, if that's the return, I'm okay with it. Whereas, like, I don't want to stick $80 into a game if I'm only going to get 4 hours out of it. So
I hear you on that.
That's one where I'm like, I will keep an eye on it because if it lives up to the series, then absolutely. Like, that's something I would absolutely love to play. But like, if it comes out and it's kind of mixed, I'm like, wait till a Steam sale or something.
I hear you. I hear you. So, Alec, I want to ask you one final question, man. And this is, I want to ask if you had to give one person a single player game, not Destiny, to recommend for them to check out, whether it be retro, whether it be modern, whether it be a throwback, what game would you recommend to people?
Easy. This is if we're going to put in throwbacks, Half-Life. So for me, Half-Life 1 and 2 is my Mount Rushmore. Like,
wow.
If
it's only 4 spots.
Exactly. That
It's only 4
and it
spots.
is Half-Life 1, Half-Life. Well, I guess it's Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, Halo, and then maybe Madden.
Gotta be
I'll give it
Destiny
to.
now, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's gotta be
That's
Destiny
fair.
too, right?
Well, so like the way I thought about the Mount Rushmore though is I guess because I'm turning 30, that's a lot of years,
Yeah, for sure.
Destiny, not that it's not getting the love, but 3 years. Whereas I'm like Madden, dude, I was playing Madden back when it was like Madden Madden 04. Like, and I always keep an eye on it. With how college football turned out as a good game. I'm like,
I
if they
liked
do
college football quite a bit.
if they do that stuff in Madden, I'd play Madden again.
I'm gonna be honest. One of the big things I'm looking forward to in this upcoming Madden is doing the Saquon Barkley like reverse huddle. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I'm
like,
like,
they added it into the game, and I'm like, yeah.
if the gameplay of Madden reflected college football, I'd pick up Madden.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like, D2, I love D2. D2 will always be my favorite game I have ever played, just based on the sheer amount of hours and the friendships and the impact it's had on my life. But like Half-Life was, and always will be a transcendent experience. Like when you play Half-Life 1, it really is it is like the pillars of how first-person shooter games have been built and how they've always built upon them. It's like the puzzles, like everything about it is so unique and so interesting and so fascinating that it's like that in itself is awesome. And Half-Life 2 just takes it to an entirely different level. To where
You're gonna have to buy it. You're gonna have to borrow a VR set and just play Alex at this point.
So that's the one.
Alex.
Yes, that's the one. I'm like, I have Alex in my wish list. I know my parents have an Oculus, so I need to steal the Oculus simply to play Half-Life Alex because it is. Half-Life is Valve are my heroes. If I could have any game, if I could design games like any company, it would always be Valve. If I could do anything like any company, it'd be like Valve. Like, the Half-Life is, I would always recommend folks play Half-Life. Like it's almost an annual tradition that I replay Half-Life 2 every year. So
I'm like that with the Batman games, the Arkham games.
Yeah.
I'm like that. But I've never played Half-Life before. Never played it. I think I was exactly when you were talking about it. I was like, I wonder if I have that in my library real quick. So I was pulling up my Steam account, and I was like, I think it might be in there.
I would play Half-Life 2 first. I know that's totally the opposite of the release order, and people would be like, oh, no, you should play Half-Life 1 or whatever. Play Half-Life 2 is not only one of the greatest FPS games of all time, but is one of the greatest games of all time. Like, it really is phenomenal. And like, those levels they will live with you the rest of your life. You will never go through life the same again because something will pop up that will remind you of one of those levels, and you're like, "This is Waterways. Well, this is Ravenholm."
I have Half-Life. I have Half-Life, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch Source.
Yes.
Whatever Half-Life 2 Episode 2 is, Episode 1 as well, and The Lost Coast as well.
That's where those jokes came out with Valve, where they were like, they'll never do a 3 because Half-Life 2 episodes 1 and 2 happened directly after the events of Half-Life 2.
Okay.
And everybody was sort of hyped, like they leave us on this really big cliffhanger at the end of Half-Life 2 episode 2. And everybody's like, oh man, I can't wait for episode 3. And they've never done a 3, and they've never done a Half-Life 3, and and they don't do a Team Fortress 3, and they won't do a Dota 3, and everybody's like,
you're like, just give it to me, man. Just give it to me.
But Half-Life, it's not a particularly long playthrough. I think if you get through Half-Life, it's probably like 5 or 6 hours.
Can mow through that. But it's Steam Deck compatible. That's
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I would hope so because it's a Valve. It's like
I think I got it because I got a Steam Deck. It's like I think they gave it to me because
even
I got
better.
a Steam Deck.
But and I think back to obviously I don't know how much you know about the Valve in general, but so Counter-Strike was built out of Half-Life.
Mhm.
So like they had it was the Half-Life deathmatch mode, then got modded by a bunch of people to become CS, and then it became Valve essentially brought in those people and they made CS an official thing, then CS Source, and yeah, all of those. And people, I remember back in the day, you could join like whole party modes on those servers, and it was all like user generated maps and content for all that stuff. It's really Half-Life is like a whole rabbit hole, man. Once you go down it, it's like fascinating.
It's funny. It's funny. So yeah, I'm gonna check this out then. I'm gonna check this out. Like, thank you so much for doing this, man. Where can the good people find you?
They can still find me on Instagram, and I guess just on the Instagram at this point. But there are, I will say, for the few people that actually care, there are some rumblings. So there are some. We had a discussion last weekend on what a demo would look like. So there is a
The Phoenix rising from the ashes.
there is a demo in the works, and I have to say I'm very excited. This
That's
is
exciting. I can't wait to play it.
we were talking about some concepts of it, and we're like,
Okay. I like that. I like that. I'm excited.
yeah.
I'm very excited.
So obviously there'll be more an official announcement when that comes around, but yes,
Yeah.
there is something in the works, so to speak.
It's bubbling. It's cooking.
It's very much bubbling because yeah, the engine finally reached its endpoint and it's got ray tracing now and a couple other things, and
But you
we're like,
fancy now.
yeah, we're fancy now. So I was like, all right, we started talking about what a demo looks like, and we're now putting pen to paper or code to line.
That's exciting. So
Yeah.
Alec, man, thank you so much for doing this again. It's always a blast talking to you.
Oh yeah, this is always one of the biggest highlights of my week doing this kind of thing. So anytime
Same
you want.
here. Same here. Man, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned and for all this, because Alec and his team, his great brother, is going to be dropping some bombs here very shortly. And stay tuned for more episodes of the single player experience. I've been Sebastion. That's been Alec Taub, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the Trekkie, the Guardian, the myth dropper, and everything in between. Everybody, thank you so much. Until next time, keep leveling up. Keep leveling up. Bye, everybody.